A new NPR investigation reveals the Justice Department withheld portions of the Jeffrey Epstein files that contain allegations involving President Trump, including material tied to claims that Mr. Trump sexually abused a minor and that some pages mentioning him were removed from the public record. Democrats on the House Oversight Committee called that out today, saying the DOJ's withholding of information could amount to a crime. For more on that and the surrounding fallout, we're joined now by Julie K. Brown, investigative reporter for the Miami Herald, whose reporting helped expose much of the Epstein network. Julie, welcome back to the program. It's great to have you.
Thank you.
I want to start with this NPR reporting that the Justice Department withheld some Epstein files related to allegations that President Trump sexually abused a minor, which we should say the White House denies. What stands out to you about it?
Well, I think what stands out is that we don't have the reports, even though we know they exist. This stems from an interview that they conducted that came out of a tip to the FBI about this woman who has said that when she was 13, that she was sexually assaulted by Donald Trump.
Welcome back, guys. Adam is here. Remember when Trump promised to drain the swamp? Remember when he stood in front of crowds and swore he would expose the deep state, hold the elites accountable, and deliver justice for the victims of powerful predators? Yeah, about that. It turns out that was just campaign speech.
I want to know, were there any underage girls at that party or at any party that Trump attended with Jeffrey Epstein?
This is so ridiculous, and that they are trying to deflect from all the great things Donald Trump has done. There is no evidence that Donald Trump has committed a crime. Everyone knows that. This has been the most transparent presidency. He's the one that asked that those files.
I'm reclaiming my time. I got your answer. You said there's no evidence.
Trump asked
Mr. Chairman, please stop the clock.
Please
stop the clock.
The legislation. This is ridiculous.
Time belongs to the gentleman from California.
Okay. I'm going to put up another document from a witness who called the FBI's National Threat Operations Center, because I believe you just lied under oath. There is ample evidence in the Epstein files.
Don't you ever accuse me of a crime.
I believe you just lied under oath, and this is on videotape. You said there's no evidence of a crime. I'm showing you, here is a witness statement who called into the FBI's Threat Operations Center.
Because right now, his hand-picked attorney general is getting absolutely demolished in court trying to do the exact opposite, protecting the powerful instead of exposing them. Pam Bondi is losing. And not just losing, she's getting humiliated on a national stage. Federal judges are shredding her arguments.
Grasping at something they can charge their enemies with, we now have concrete evidence of disgusting criminality revealed in the Epstein files. So I really have just one question for you. How many of Epstein's co-conspirators have you indicted? How many perpetrators are you even investigating?
First, you showed it. I find it.
How many have you indicted?
Excuse me. I'm going to answer the question.
Answer my question.
No, I'm going to answer the question the way I want to answer the question.
No,
Your
you're going to answer
theatrics
the
are
question the way I
ridiculous.
asked it.
Bipartisan lawmakers are tearing into her during hearings. Legal experts are calling her filings sloppy, incompetent, and potentially illegal. And the whole thing is making Trump look like exactly what he promised he wasn't. Just another politician protecting his rich friends from accountability. This is the Jeffrey Epstein Files scandal, and it's exploding directly in Trump's face. Here's what makes this so wild. Back in December, something happened in Washington that almost never happens anymore. Lawmakers from both parties, Republicans and Democrats together, sent Pam Bondi a letter. And it wasn't a polite suggestion, it was a demand. They reminded her that Congress passed the Epstein Files Transparency Act. That's actual law, not a suggestion, not a recommendation. It says clearly and explicitly that these documents must be released to the public. And Bondi's response? Nothing. Then more nothing. Then excuses, then delays. Then claims that millions of pages are duplicative and don't need to be released. Then botched redactions that accidentally exposed Epstein's victims while still protecting the names of his powerful friends. Let that sink in. The Attorney General of the United States had one job: protect victims, expose perpetrators, and she did the exact opposite. Victims got exposed. Perpetrators got protected. That's not incompetence. That's a choice. and now she's paying for it in court. Fast forward to February 2026. Bondi finally releases some documents, and it's an absolute disaster. The redactions are so heavy that entire pages are basically blacked out. Names that should be public are hidden. Connections that could lead to other investigations are obscured. But here's the really messed up part. While she's over-redacting to protect powerful people, she accidentally leaves the private information of Epstein's victims completely visible. France 24 reported on this. Their names, their personal details, stuff that never should have seen the light of day. All exposed because Bondi's team couldn't even do basic redaction correctly. So now you have this insane situation where the Justice Department is simultaneously protecting predators and harming victims. How do you even screw up that badly? How do you manage to do exactly the wrong thing in both directions at the same time? The House Judiciary Democrats didn't hold back. They released a statement calling Bondi unhinged and accused her of doubling down on a grotesque cover-up to protect sexual predators. Those aren't the words of partisan hacks. That's the official response from elected officials who've seen the evidence. And here's where it gets really bad for Bondi legally. She kept claiming that millions of pages were duplicative, that releasing them would be a waste of time, that the public had already seen everything important. But federal judges aren't buying it. They're demanding to see the actual documents. They're comparing what's been released to what's being withheld. And they're not liking what they're finding. Because here's the thing about judges. They read the law. They know what the Epstein Files Transparency Act actually says. And it doesn't say, release what's convenient, or hide things that might embarrass powerful people. It says, release everything, period. So when Bondi shows up in court with weak excuses and sloppy paperwork, judges aren't impressed. They're rejecting her arguments. They're forcing the DOJ to produce more. They're holding her feet to the fire in front of the entire country. This is what we mean when we say Bondi is getting humiliated in court. She's not winning these fights. She's losing repeatedly, publicly, and embarrassingly. Every new ruling is another headline about DOJ incompetence. Every new hearing is another opportunity for lawmakers to grill her about why certain names are still redacted. Every new document release is another chance for journalists to compare what Bondi claimed to what the files actually show. And Trump? He's absolutely furious. Remember back in September, Fox News reported that Trump was pressuring Bondi to prosecute his political enemies. He literally posted on social media, then deleted it, saying, "They're all guilty as hell," and demanding she go after them immediately. In that same post, he complained that delays were killing his reputation and credibility. So we know Trump cares deeply about how the Justice Department makes him look. We know he's hypersensitive to any perception that his administration is weak or losing. And now his attorney general is getting wrecked in court over the biggest sex trafficking scandal in modern American history. You think he's happy about that? Not a chance. Multiple reports suggest Trump is privately furious that Bondi is making his administration look incompetent and corrupt, because that's exactly what's happening. Every story about Bondi losing in court, every hearing where she deflects and dodges, every revelation about botched redactions, it all feeds the narrative that Trump's DOJ is either protecting his friends or too incompetent to do basic legal work. Neither option is good. And here's where this connects to a much bigger problem for Trump. This isn't happening in isolation. We're seeing federal judges push back on Trump administration actions across the board. Immigration crackdowns get blocked. Protest bans get narrowed. Attempts to weaponize the DOJ get scrutinized. And now Epstein file cover-ups get rejected. Legal analysts are starting to notice a pattern. When Trump and his team actually face real judicial scrutiny, when they have to defend their actions in front of a judge who actually reads the law and demands evidence, they lose, over and over again. They can issue executive orders all day long. They can hold press conferences and claim victory. But when it comes time to prove their case in court, they can't. And that's what makes the Bondi situation so damaging. It's not just one loss. It's a symbol of a larger problem. Trump ran on being a tough guy who delivers results, who fights for regular people, who stands up to the elites. But his attorney general can't even release some files without screwing it up so badly that Congress and the courts have to step in and do her job for her. Let's talk about the optics here because they're absolutely terrible. You've got survivors of Epstein's abuse sitting in congressional hearings watching Bondi refuse to even look them in the eye. You've got her deflecting every question about why certain names are redacted. You've got her claiming everything is released when journalists are literally holding documents showing that's false. You've got her hiding behind procedural excuses while judges and lawmakers are saying, "Nope, not good enough, try again." This is not how a competent Justice Department operates. This is not how you maintain public trust in law enforcement. This is how you destroy it. And here's the really ugly part that nobody wants to say out loud. Every single move Bondi has made on these files, every delay, every redaction, every claim that millions of pages are duplicative, every botched release that protects perpetrators while harming victims, it all points to one conclusion. They don't want certain names coming out. Period. When you look at who Trump was photographed with during the Epstein years, when you look at his social circle, his parties, his connections, when you see his name appearing thousands of times in the Epstein documents, it starts to make a lot more sense why his DOJ is fighting so hard to keep these files buried. This isn't about national security. This isn't about ongoing investigations. This is about protecting powerful people from accountability. And Trump is the most powerful person of all. Now, what happens next? The courts are going to keep pressing. Congress is going to keep investigating. More documents are eventually going to come out whether Bondi wants them to or not. The question is, how much damage gets done to Trump's image in the meantime? Because every day this drags on, every new hearing, every new court filing, every new headline about DOJ incompetence, it keeps the Epstein scandal front and center. It keeps people asking why Trump's attorney general is fighting so hard to protect certain names. It keeps survivors in the public eye, telling their stories and watching the government fail them again. And politically, this is catastrophic for Trump. He's trying to sell himself as the law and order candidate, the guy who's going to clean up corruption and protect kids. But his own attorney general is actively covering up evidence in the biggest child sex trafficking case in modern history. The hypocrisy is so blatant that even his supporters are starting to notice. Let's break down Bondi's legal position right now because it's genuinely dire. She's got bipartisan lawmakers demanding accountability. She's got federal judges rejecting her arguments left and right. She's got legal experts saying her filings are sloppy and potentially violate the law. She's got survivors and advocacy groups calling for her resignation. And she's got a president who's furious that she's making him look bad. That's not a sustainable position for an attorney general. At some point, either she starts complying with the law and releasing the full unredacted files, or she's going to face serious consequences. We're talking potential contempt of court. We're talking congressional referrals. We're talking calls for impeachment if it gets bad enough. And here's the nightmare scenario for Trump. He can't fire her without making it look like he's trying to cover something up. But he also can't defend her without owning all the criticism that's coming her way. So he's stuck watching his attorney general get humiliated, and there's not much he can do about it without making things worse. This is what happens when you put loyalty above competence. Trump wanted someone who would do what she was told, who wouldn't ask questions, who would protect him and his interests no matter what. He got that in Pam Bondi. But what he didn't get was someone who could actually do the job effectively, who understood the law well enough to navigate these situations, who had the credibility to withstand scrutiny. Bondi is loyal. But loyalty doesn't win in court. Loyalty doesn't impress federal judges. Loyalty doesn't make bad legal arguments disappear. All loyalty does is ensure that when the administration falls, loyal people fall with it. The bigger picture here is about the rule of law itself. This whole situation raises a fundamental question. Does anyone in Trump's orbit actually respect the law, or do they just see it as a tool to use against enemies and ignore when it's inconvenient? Because that's what we're watching. The law says, release the files. Bondi says, no, I'll release what I want when I want. The law says, protect victim privacy. Bondi accidentally exposes their information while hiding perpetrators. The law says you can't withhold documents for political reasons. Bondi does it anyway. At a certain point, you have to ask, is this just incompetence or is it deliberate? Is Bondi really this bad at her job, or is she doing exactly what Trump wants, protecting him and his associates at all costs? If it's the latter, if this is intentional, then we're looking at a much bigger problem than just mishandling some files. We're looking at a Justice Department that's been turned into a personal protection agency for the president and his friends. And that's not how democracy works. That's not how justice works. That's how authoritarianism works. Trump promised to drain the swamp. He promised to expose the corrupt elites. He promised to deliver justice for victims. But when it actually came time to do that, when it actually came time to release documents that might implicate powerful people, his DOJ fought it every step of the way, and now they're paying the price. Bondi is losing in court. Trump's reputation is taking a hit. The administration looks corrupt and incompetent. And the Epstein scandal, which Trump probably hoped would just go away, is front and center again. The lesson here is simple. You can't campaign on law and order and then cover up crimes when it's your friends involved. You can't promise transparency and then fight in court to keep documents hidden. You can't claim to care about victims and then expose their private information while protecting predators. Eventually, the hypocrisy catches up with you. Eventually, judges and Congress step in. Eventually, you lose. And that's exactly what's happening to Trump and Bondi right now. They thought they could control the narrative. They thought they could stall long enough that people would forget. They thought they could protect the names that needed protecting and bury the rest. But they were wrong. The courts aren't playing along. Congress isn't backing down. Journalists are still digging. Survivors are still speaking out. And the story isn't going away. So yeah, Trump is furious. Bondi is humiliated. And the whole thing is blowing up in their faces exactly the way it should when you try to cover up crimes instead of prosecuting them. This is what accountability looks like. This is what happens when the system actually works. And we're going to keep watching because this is far from over. The files are coming out. The names are coming out. And Trump can't stop it. His lawyers can't stop it. His hand-picked attorney general can't stop it. The truth is coming whether they like it or not. And for a man who built his entire political career on controlling the narrative, on dominating the news cycle, on being the one who decides what people see and believe, that's the worst outcome possible. Trump is furious because he's losing control. Bondi is humiliated because she's losing in court. And the American people are watching it all unfold in real time. The swamp promised to drain itself. Turns out, it's drowning instead.